What's going on, guys? Welcome to my channel. Today we're talking budget and an option that can provide you some solid home defense, as well as a viable STHF option, some truck gun stuff, overlanding, whatever you really want to do with it. CQB stuff, room clearing, which I suppose would only be home defense in a civilian setting. But we're talking about Palmetto State Armory, and so they are kind of a controversial brand because they, on one end of the spectrum, they provide great quality for a great price. But with that kind of cost cutting, because Palmetto's mission is to provide Americans like you and me with affordable quality firearms that you don't have to remortgage your house for or break the bank for. And with that cost cutting can come some quality control issues, as well as just quality issues. And so we're going to talk about a little bit of that today, but I just wanted to present the firearm to you, and it's clear and safe. And so this is my AR15 pistol that I got from Palmetto State Armory, and I've done a couple things to it to make it not Palmetto State Armory, but it is everything I've added onto it. All of the accessories do fall within the budget category and the affordable category, and some of them even the cheap category, which I'm a little embarrassed to admit, but I'll probably end up upgrading some of the components at a later date. So I started off with Palmetto State Armory's upper receiver build kit. And additionally, they include lower receiver parts as well to fully kit out a stripped lower receiver. So they gave me a handguard, not this one. I changed out the handguards. They gave me the 10.5 inch barrel. They gave me a blast forwarding flash can, which I also changed out. They gave me this upper receiver right here. They gave me the lower receiver parts, the trigger group, the fire control unit, the bolt release, the bolt carrier group. So they gave me almost everything you need. They gave me the SPA3 brace, the buffer tube, the buffer spring, almost everything you need to get up and running with an AR-15 minus the lower receiver, which is actually the part that's serialized and considered to be the firearm. So beyond the Palmetto State Armory pieces, I'd like to talk about what I did to, further customize it to my needs and my wants. When it ships, they give you a 10.5 inch barrel, but they give you about a 12 inch handguard. So the handguard stops kind of about where the flash hider stops. And that was too much handguard for me because I didn't like that blast forwarding flash can. I think it's a piece of crap. It doesn't do anything except make your flash signature crazy, like I'm talking nuts. And so I knew I wanted to put a flash hider on it. I also know I'm gonna wanna suppress it when my suppressor arrives in the mail. It's been about 6 months so far, and so I'm waiting patiently. And to do so, I would need to have a handguard that comes down to be flush with the barrel, allowing me to thread on different options without bumping into the handguard. So I went and purchased this, I believe it's a 10 inch barrel from O-Hunt. They're a Chinese company, and it's kind of a piece of crap, but it does the job. I'm sure it will not last very long, but it's chugging through. So that's the handguard upgrade I made, and we're gonna go tip to butt. In that vein, I also got a 4-prong flash hider that I bought from my local gun store. I can't remember the brand, but I know it was about 60 bucks. The handguard was about 25 bucks, I think. Here I have a weapon mounted light. It's the Streamlight Pro Tac with a what's it called? A pressure pad, yes. And there are pros and cons with pressure pads. I wanted the pressure pad because I have a shorter rail, and if I wasn't gonna go with a pressure pad, I would have to mount the light on the left side, which would give me less room for my hand to be on there. And the gas block actually impedes where you're able to mount some extra Picatinny to attach the flashlight to. So I figured I would just allow myself to have a more comfortable grip, and therefore move the light to the other side and be able to actuate it comfortably from any angle of the firearm. I have a $20 hand stop from Amazon, and it actually does the job. Like it's not amazing, it's just like polymer, but it works, and it works fine. Beyond that, you guys are gonna get a kick out of this one. I have a very cheap adjustable gas block. I think it's the cheapest gas block you can find. I'll try and chase down the brand name for you guys, but yeah, I don't think I paid more than $40 for the gas block, and it's adjustable, which is really nice to have with an SBR or 10.5 inch pistol. And if you're gonna suppress it, I think that's kind of a must. Because if you have an overgassed SBR, overgassed short-barreled pistol, you're gonna run into some accelerated parts wear, as well as overgassing with a suppressor shooting gas back in your face, and I don't want that. I bought some extra Picatinny section from Amazon, 10 bucks, just to throw it onto the M-LOK. Right-hand side to mount the light, I have a Monstrum LPVO 1:4 variable optic, and this is an interesting topic. I'm probably gonna come up with a review specific to this optic. It was 130 bucks, and you know, a lot of times it's very, very common for people to spend more on their optic than they do on the rifle. Like I'm talking $1,000, $2,000 for an optic, and this one was 125. It is okay. It's good for the price, but objectively, it's not the greatest optic. It's advertised as 1:4. You don't get a true 1 power. When you change the focus of the optic, I have poor vision, but when you change the focus, it's very picky about distance to the optic. So one thing might be perfectly in focus, but then if I go and turn 90 degrees and present to a target that is a lot closer, it'll be totally blurry. So that kind of sucks. Glass quality is not the greatest. The throw lever wants to walk out on you, so I just put Loctite down on that, and it has not been an issue since. It remains 0, which is probably the biggest important aspect for a budget optic like this. It remains 0. That kind of actually surprised me. It does have an illuminated reticle that can go red or green, which is a nice added bonus. I never use that feature though. And the last kicker, I suppose, is that the eye relief is pretty poor. When you're on 1 power, it is workable. Like you can work around it, but when you're on anything magnified, the eye relief is kind of a bitch. I have chosen to go with an Aero Precision lower. Great lowers, they're a fantastic budget company, but they provide you really good bang for your buck to a greater degree even than Palmetto State Armory in my opinion. I have a Daniel Defense pistol grip, and I just like it because it's thin. I have really small hands. I'm 5'4.5", but I've got really thin hands, like really small hands, really thin fingers, and so I don't want a fat grip because it's just harder for me to wrap my hands around it. So the Daniel Defense grip is thinner and is smaller than other standard grips, and it is very easy for me to grab onto it and really kind of control and ride up on the gun. So that's why I went with that. Other than that, everything else is pretty much stock that I have in the gun. Everything utilizes the parts kit that Palmetto shipped it with me. And so now I'd like to talk about kind of the reliability and I guess just overall experience with it. I've had some really good experience using this gun, and it chews through most all ammo I've put through it. I've put green tip through it. I've put just your typical 55 grain through it, and I have yet to shoot some soft points, but I've only had maybe 2 light strikes, and that was after a very long period of not having been cleaned or oiled. And so I think the lubrication was the problem there. There are some people who say that PSA's bolt carrier groups are doggo and that they belong in the trash, and so I'm planning on probably upgrading my bolt carrier group at some point, and I'm expecting the barrel to last me about, give or take, 5,000 to 8,000 rounds, and I've put less than 1,000 rounds in this rifle, so I'm expecting it to last me a decent amount of time because I don't go through putting crazy high round counts downrange just because I'm a broke individual. Would I recommend this gun? Absolutely. I'd recommend it for someone just getting into the game who wants to pick up an AR-15 but is a little bit scared of the price tags as well as the confusion with accessories and whether you go with direct impingement or a gun more like the SIG MCX. And so I think it's a really good way to simplify the AR-15 purchasing experience. You are gonna have to get into the nitty-gritty about how to assemble an AR-15, but that, in my opinion, is also a benefit of the experience of buying from PSA, because I think it's important to be able to self-service your firearms, and assembling, disassembling is a great way to get familiar with the AR-15 platform. So whenever I have a problem, I know how to rip the handguard off, take off the gas block, take out the barrel, take apart the bolt carrier group, or take apart the lower, remove the buffer, stuff like that. I think it's just really important to know how to do, and how to do proficiently and with confidence. I'm excited to review some of these specific, I guess, aftermarket purchases that I made on my AR, like the LPVO, like the Streamlight Pro Tac, and hopefully in 2 months' time, the suppressor that I have coming in the mail. So stay tuned for stuff like that, and we'll see you in the next video, guys.